Watch what happens when you decide to step into the boldest version of yourself. Main character energy isn't just a trend, it's that spark showing up in Gen Z, TikToks, self-help books, and late-night conversations. Why are so many people obsessed with it? How does it actually change your confidence, your choices, even your mornings? If you've wondered how to make your life feel like a movie without faking it, you're about to find out exactly where to begin. So, let's dig deep into what's really going on inside us when we talk about main character energy. It isn't just a vibe or some random burst of confidence that disappears when the spotlight fades. There's actually a lot lurking beneath the surface, good stuff that comes from the way our brains work, the stories we tell ourselves, and the science of how we see our own lives. Let's start with the basics, how you see yourself. There's this idea called self-concept. Seriously, it's just the mix of beliefs you have about who you are. Think about the moments you talk to yourself, even if it's only in your head. Is your inner voice cheering you on, or is it kind of just poking holes in every good thing you try? When you start shaping that inner story like you're the star, not just an extra, your mindset actually starts to shift. Like, if you see yourself as the hero, even if it's just for one scene you walk taller, you look at the world as something happening for you, not just to you. This connects to something called narrative identity. That might sound way more intense than it is. Basically, it's just the whole plot you create about your life. If you think about any time you tell someone about your week, are you the one making things happen, or do you just recount what happened to you? Let's say two people go through the same rough Monday. One might say, "Work was awful, I'm just so unlucky." The other, "Work was wild, but I handled it. I learned a ton. I've totally got this." That simple change? That's main character energy, living in your everyday story. Let's make it real with an example. Maybe you bomb a test or mess up a big meeting. If your first thought is, "Well, this always happens to me," you're basically writing yourself as a side character, someone things just happen to. But if you decide, "Okay, this didn't go my way, but I get to choose what I do next," you're stepping back into the lead role. You're the one who gets to write the next scene. Your story isn't over, it's just a plot twist. This brings us to agency and autonomy. These words sound fancy, but they're just about being in control of what you do and believing you can actually change things. Have you ever watched a movie where the main character just waits for things to happen? Nah. You remember movies where the lead takes action, makes choices, or pushes through the tough stuff. Main character energy is about living like that in your own skin, even if it's just deciding what to eat for breakfast or whether to answer that annoying text. Your choices matter because you matter. Let's talk about positive psychology, the science that tries to figure out what makes life worth living. It's all about flipping the script when things go wrong. Let's say you get rejected for something big, you didn't make the team. Your crush ghosts you, you flunk a class. Positive psychology teaches you to reframe those moments. Main characters turn setbacks into fuel. Instead of thinking it's the end, they see it as the start of something new. So, when life knocks you off your feet, that's just your training montage. You're building skills, grit, and a better story to tell later. Think about those moments in movies where everything goes wrong, and then slowly the main character gets up, dusts themselves off, and starts again. There's energy in that comeback, and it's something you can write into your own life story. You already have what you need to start this. Seriously. The main trick? Pay attention to self-talk and visualization. Ever catch yourself thinking, "I always mess things up," or "Nothing good ever happens to me"? Flip it. Try, "I can figure this out," or "I've handled worse." It feels awkward at first, but it plants real seeds of confidence. Visualization helps. Picture yourself handling a tough situation with calm or crushing a new skill. Before you know it, your brain feels more prepared, more willing to try, just because you can picture success. Picture yourself walking into a class or meeting and feeling ready. The more you do it, the more you believe it. You might even notice you stand a little straighter, or that you speak up when you'd usually stay quiet. That small shift can spark a chain reaction, making every part of your day a bit more possible. Not convinced yet? Let's talk social comparison. It's that rabbit hole of looking at your friends' highlight reels or famous influencers and asking, "Why not me?" But here's the twist. Main character energy isn't about being better than anyone else. It's about being the best version of you. When you stop comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's perfect Instagram post, you give yourself room to grow your own story. Your journey matters, even when it feels slow or unglamorous, because it's yours. Imagine scrolling and seeing someone's win, and instead of feeling small, you cheer for them, but then you look back at your own progress, however tiny it feels, and realize it counts just as much. That's a major mindset shift that frees you up to focus on your own path. And this isn't just wishful thinking. There is science behind all of this. Studies show that people who feel like they have some say in their lives, like they're the authors, and not just the background crowd, are not only happier, but they actually achieve more. They're more willing to try new things, bounce back from failures, and handle stress like real pros. One study from Stanford even found that when people see themselves as being in control, they're way less likely to get stuck in ruts after setbacks. They start looking for new ways out, instead of just giving up. Imagine getting a bad grade, not taking it as a signal to stop, but as a chance to ask for help, learn something different, or try a new approach next time. Another cool thing? Our brains are wired for stories. Psychologists say that narrative identity, the plot lines and meanings we create from our experiences, is a huge part of growing up and figuring ourselves out. The same way you root for your favorite main character. When you see yourself as the center of a story, you get clearer about your wants. You also grow more resilient, because you know a tough chapter is just, well, a chapter, not the whole book. Think about your favorite book or show. Did the lead ever get everything right the first time? Nope. But you never wanted the story to end when things got tough, right? Think about times you slipped into the background. Maybe at a party, no one asked you about your weekend, or you didn't raise your hand in class or at work because you thought your ideas weren't good enough. That feeling of fading out can stick. But the second you step forward and claim your story, even just a little, the whole feeling changes. When you decide, wait, I've got something to say, it wakes you up inside. You start to guide where your story goes next. Even a small action, like offering your opinion or starting a new conversation, can shift the spotlight back onto you in the best possible way. So here's something to try. Pay attention to the story you tell yourself when something goes wrong. Next time you're standing in line feeling awkward or doubting yourself after a rough day, check your inner narrator. Is it rooting for you or tearing you down? This simple awareness is the first step. When you notice that inner voice, you get the chance to rewrite what comes next. Of course, every main character has doubts. They trip, they fail, they even get embarrassed. What sets them apart is how they move forward. They choose to learn, grow, and try again. You can do the same, even if it's a tiny choice, like texting back after an awkward silence, or signing up for something new, no matter how scared you feel. These are the turning points, those small but powerful moments that push your story forward. And here's what nobody talks about. You don't need a fancy background, wild adventures, or a built-in support crew to start. The only thing you really need is to believe your story matters. Main character energy is for everyone, not just for people in Hollywood movies or glowing TikTok edits. The spark starts when you stop waiting and start living like you have agency, like what you want actually counts. You belong in the center of your own story, and your life is worth that spotlight, no matter what your set looks like behind the scenes. But that's not even scratching the surface. What does it look like when you start spotting main character energy in yourself? Not just in theory, but in action every single day. How do you know you're really stepping into that bold, new role? Let's figure that out in the next section. So, now you know the deep stuff going on behind main character energy. But how do you catch it showing up in real life, your life? Sometimes, it's obvious. Most of the time, it's quiet. It's found in the choices you make when nobody else is watching, in moments that could slip by unnoticed but end up shaping you anyway. Let's get concrete. Start by noticing how you handle your mornings. Maybe you have a ritual like journaling in your notebook each morning, sitting by a window as sunlight pours in, a hot mug of coffee warming your hands. You write out your thoughts, hopes, or just scribble whatever's swirling in your mind. That's not just a habit. That's main character energy showing care for your own story, making space to check in with yourself before the rest of the world crashes into your day. You're the one setting the scene, creating a peaceful backdrop for your own plot. Picture this. You're sipping that coffee, the room is silent except for the faint hum of the fridge or birds outside, and you take a deep breath. This is your time. Sometimes you reread old entries and notice how far you've come, and a small smile creeps onto your face. That simple act? It's about honoring your journey. Maybe it's raining outside, or your cat's curled up nearby, and you realize how important these everyday details are to your story. Let's say it's your job to speak up in a meeting, share an idea, or admit you're confused about something. You feel those nerves. Maybe your heart thuds in your chest, but you do it anyway. Main character energy isn't about never being scared. It's about acting even when you are. Like the moment you raise your hand in class, or you volunteer for the tough project, or say yes to joining that new club even when you don't know anyone. Maybe a friend invites you on a road trip. Your brain starts shouting, "But what if?" You take a breath. You choose to go. And that's simple? Yes? That's how main character energy takes shape. It's action, not just intention. Let's go deeper. Imagine you're sitting in a meeting at work. Your palms are sweaty, and you can feel everyone's eyes on you as you finally decide to share your idea. Maybe you start out a little shaky, but you push through, and by the end, you see a couple people nodding or even smiling. Afterward, a coworker comes up and says, "Hey, glad you brought that up. I've been thinking the same thing." That validation feels good. You prove to yourself that you belong in the room. That's a classic main character moment, even if no one's rolling credits at the end. Growth is a key marker here. Think of times you've tried something completely new. Maybe you sign up for a pottery class, dig out books you wouldn't normally read, or pick up a guitar to strum even if you sound not so great at first. Each choice to push your own boundaries adds to your story. You probably aren't great at these things at first, but you show up, you learn, you stumble, and sometimes you laugh at yourself. Main characters don't wait to become experts, they just start, and let growth happen along the way. Every class, every hobby, every awkward step is another scene in your character arc. Let's say you walk into that pottery studio and immediately feel out of place. Everyone else seems to know exactly what they're doing, while you struggle to make even a simple bowl. The instructor comes over, sees your effort, and tells you, "There's no wrong way to start, just let yourself play." That encouragement sticks with you. By the end, maybe your bowl isn't perfect, but you're proud of it anyway. You show it off to your family or friends and laugh about your lopsided masterpiece. In those imperfect creations, you find yourself evolving. Now, let's talk boundaries. Lots of people think saying yes all the time wins brownie points. But when you decide to turn off your phone at 9 p.m. even when friends keep texting, sharing memes, or asking you to hop on a call, you're telling yourself your rest matters, your peace matters. Main characters carve out what they need without apology. You get honest about what drains you, what lights you up, and that sometimes you just want to be left alone to recharge. There's power there. There's also power in saying no when everyone expects a yes. Main character energy means you listen to yourself, even if it disappoints others occasionally. Imagine this: your friends are planning a big group chat late into the night. Everyone's laughing and sending voice memos. You look at your phone, feel the pull, but instead, you say, "Hey guys, I need to catch up on sleep tonight. Love y'all, I'll join next time." You put your phone on silent, climb into bed, and feel this wave of relief because you chose what was best for you. That's not selfish, it's self-respecting. The next day, maybe you wake up refreshed and ready, and you realize your energy feels different when you put yourself first. You might still feel guilty. Maybe you say no to dinner plans or a weekend party because you need you. Time to read, catch up on your own hobbies, or just sleep. You wonder, am I being selfish? But here's the truth. Main characters are only able to show up for others because they first take care of themselves. They don't run on empty. When you choose your own needs, you have more energy for the people you care about and your own dreams. Your story gets richer, not smaller. Think about the ordinary days too. You pick your outfit to match your mood, rather than what everyone else will think is cool. You make lunch that actually brings you joy, instead of just eating what's easy or expected. Maybe you take the scenic route home, blasting your favorite music, even if it adds 5 minutes. These little choices, they add up. You're curating your own scenes, not just coasting along. Sometimes recognizing main character energy means noticing when you mess up without beating yourself up for it. Say you oversleep an important meeting. Old you spirals. "I can't believe I did this. This always happens." Main character mode? You own it. "Okay, I slipped up. What can I do better next time?" It's forgiveness in real time. You apologize, you fix what you can, and you move on. That's pretty heroic. And let's not forget the way you talk to yourself is huge. Listen for your inner dialogue. When you catch yourself thinking, "I don't belong here," or "I'm not good enough," pause. What if instead, you asked, what would the main character do right now? Sometimes the answer changes everything. Would they shrink? Or would they stand up? Maybe even fake a little confidence until it feels real. You don't need big gestures. Most main character moments show up in the small stuff. Here's another example. You're at the grocery store, and the cashier looks stressed. You crack a joke, or just say something kind. For a split second, you make the scene lighter. It's not for show, it's just you, making life a little better for the people sharing your story. Those moments count. Or maybe you text a friend you haven't seen in months, just to check in. You're the kind of main character who cares, one who reaches out, not just waits for things to happen. Every choice to grow, every time you set a boundary, every moment you stand up for yourself or others, even when it's awkward or hard, carries main character energy. People start to notice. Maybe someone tells you they admire how you handled something, or asks for advice. But sometimes, it's just you who sees the change. You walk through your day with a bit more purpose. You look in the mirror, and like, who's staring back? And there's always more room to grow. If you feel like you're not even close right now, that's fine. Main character energy isn't a switch you flip. It's a story you build, scene by scene. Start small. Ask yourself at the end of the night, what did I do today to honor my own script? Maybe your answer is, I spoke my mind, or I made time for my art, or even, I let myself rest. Every bit counts. But here's the twist. You aren't the only one who benefits. When you step up and live with this kind of energy, the people around you feel it too. They're inspired by your courage, your honesty, your willingness to grow. Your story gives them permission to start theirs. Truth is, you might not even see how much impact you're making. One day, your younger sibling mentions, I saw you trying that class and thought, maybe I could do it too. Or a friend thanks you for setting boundaries, saying it helped them do the same. Every ripple starts small. Think about someone you admire. Chances are, they didn't know they were inspiring you either. Now, you're that person for someone else. So, the question is, what happens when you lean even harder into main character energy? When you let it shape not just your choices, but your entire outlook on life, especially when things get tough. That's where the real story starts, so let's dig into that next. This is where things really get good. Because main character energy isn't just about standing taller or making bold choices. It actually transforms how you feel, how you handle storms, and the whole way you show up in life. Let's break down the big wins you get when you start treating your story like it's worth watching. First, resilience. That's the magic power no hero or main character can live without. Think about every movie or book you've ever loved. The main character faces setbacks. Maybe they lose a friend, they fail an audition, their plan falls apart. But instead of throwing in the towel, they adjust. They get knocked down and stand back up, again and again, sometimes with bruises, sometimes with a smile. When you start seeing your own challenges as plot twists, not failures, something big shifts. That annoying commute, that tough grade, that awkward fight with a friend, it all becomes fodder for your next chapter. You think, okay, this wasn't what I wanted, but what can I learn? What part of this makes my story richer? Suddenly, setbacks lose their power to stop you. Instead, they fuel your comeback. I recently heard a story about Marcus, a high school junior who missed the soccer team roster by just one spot. He could have seen it as a sign he wasn't cut out for the game. But instead, he thought, what would the main character in one of my favorite movies do? He spent that year practicing every weekend, asking his coach for feedback, and journaling about his journey. When he finally made the team the next year, that moment felt 100 times sweeter because the obstacle had made the victory real. Even his friends began to look at setbacks differently, inspired by his outlook. Second, daily motivation. If you wake up each morning and see the day as just another grind, it drags you down. But if you start to treat every morning like a clean slate, like a fresh scene waiting to be written, you show up with more fire. Maybe you try something different with your morning routine, a quick walk, a favorite playlist, writing goals down before breakfast. You look at your to-do list and pick one thing that excites you, not just what you should do. That spark, that sense that you're in charge of today's plot, keeps you moving forward, even if yesterday was tough, even if you feel stuck sometimes. Take Sam, for example. She started writing down one new thing she wanted to try each week. Tiny stuff, like talking to someone new or wearing a color she'd usually avoid. Suddenly, Mondays weren't just the start of the same old week. They were a scene in progress, with her as the lead. She began looking forward to seeing what would happen next. That's the main character lens in action. Another huge win is growing emotional intelligence, understanding and managing your feelings, and tuning in to the feelings of others. When you journal about your plot twists or talk to yourself with kindness after a mess-up, you're boosting that skill fast. You start asking, what am I really feeling here? What's the real story? Instead of shoving down emotions or pretending you're fine, you process them. You create space for honesty, for real growth, and for deeper connections. I want you to picture Maya, who, after struggling with anxiety, started using nightly journaling as her safe zone. She wrote, "Today was tough. I snapped at my sister over nothing. Why did I react like that?" Over time, her journal became a dialogue, her younger self looking for understanding, her wiser self offering advice. She noticed patterns behind her emotions and learned to check in with others as well. Maya's story shows that inviting your feelings onto the page is like adding color and shape to what was blurry before. It makes everything clearer. This is where self-compassion comes in. It's easy to beat yourself up after a mistake, to think you should have known better or done better. But main characters don't give up on themselves. They forgive, they learn, and they keep moving. When you mess up, instead of playing the harsh critic, try, "That was tough, but I'm still learning." Every hero messes up, and I'm still worth rooting for. Over time, that gentle approach helps you bounce back faster and chase new things without the weight of past failures holding you back. Author Brené Brown once wrote, "Talk to yourself like you would to someone you love." That's main character energy right there. If you stumble, remember it's just a scene, not the whole script. Let's talk about the decisions you make. Main character energy pushes you to act with more intention. You stop drifting through your days and start asking, is this the next right move for me? Does this align with my story? That could mean choosing work that actually excites you, spending time with people who fill you up, or even taking more risks, big or small. Every decision, even what you wear or how you spend your downtime, becomes a chance to reinforce the story you want to tell. Main characters rarely settle for the background role. They step up, speak out, and make the choices that move their plots forward. When you start seeing decisions as plot points, you don't just go along to get along. You start being braver, asking for a raise, starting a side hustle, taking a solo trip, or just trying something outside your usual comfort zone. Each of these acts grows your courage and rewrites your story a bit more in your favor. And don't forget, main character energy isn't about being perfect or upbeat 24/7. Some days are tough, some weeks are a grind. Main characters have hard chapters. What makes the difference is how they treat themselves during those low points. Maybe you take a mental health day, or you set a small goal and celebrate actually hitting it, instead of beating yourself up for everything you didn't do. The energy is about giving yourself a starring role no matter what's happening around you. This mindset also improves your relationships. When you get clear about your boundaries and values, like shutting off your phone at night for better sleep or saying no to one more social obligation, you show your friends and family where you stand. You become more honest, more present, and your relationships grow deeper because you're not burned out or resentful. You even inspire others to set their own boundaries, showing them it's okay to put themselves first sometimes. Even more, being in touch with your story means you notice the little joys more often. You stop just waiting for the big wins and start celebrating tiny victories, like sticking to a habit, having a good conversation, or finishing a book you once thought you'd never get through. Every day becomes a new scene, and you realize how much beauty there is in the simple stuff. Let me give you another example. Alex, who always rushed through life, started making a habit of noticing the way the sunlight hit the trees on his morning walk, or pausing to really taste his coffee instead of gulping it down. These moments might seem small, but strung together, they made his story feel brighter. He said, "It's like my life's in high definition now. I'm actually present in my own movie." But the flip side? Sometimes, leaning into main character energy means you have to face tough truths about what's not working. Maybe your job doesn't fit anymore. Maybe certain friends leave you drained, not energized. The good news is, this energy doesn't make you ignore those problems. It gives you the strength to face them, to make changes, ask for help, or move in new directions, knowing you're worthy of growth. A friend of mine, Jamie, realized her side hobby, making jewelry, lit her up in a way her regular job never did. Inspired by main character energy, she started selling pieces online, bit by bit shifting her narrative. It was scary, but as she put it, why not try writing a new chapter? The long-term effects? Main characters don't just live bolder in the moment. Over time, they become the person others come to for advice, the one who's confident enough to try weird things, the friend who says yes to adventures and isn't scared to say no when something's off. This is well-being, not just surviving, but thriving, scene by scene. Okay, so you're probably wondering, how do you actually get started? How do you harness all this energy, turn it from theory into something you do every single day? That's where things really start to change. All right, here's where we roll up our sleeves. All those good things that come with main character energy, now it's time for real, down-to-earth steps to make it stick. So grab your notebook, your phone, or just a quiet moment, and try out these practical ideas designed to boost your story, one small action at a time. Let's start at the very beginning, your morning. This is where so many main character stories begin. Try this tomorrow. Stand in front of the mirror, look yourself in the eye, and say an affirmation out loud. You might feel a little silly at first. Maybe you say, "Today, I own my story," or "I have the courage to make my life exciting." It doesn't need to sound fancy, you just have to mean it. Over time, this habit changes the way your inner voice talks to you. The person you see in the mirror becomes the star of your script, not just someone getting by. You might be wondering, does this really work? Consider the story of Alexa, a college student who struggled with self-confidence. Every morning, she tried an affirmation even on days she felt completely drained. After a month, she realized she was volunteering more in class and starting conversations she used to avoid. It's a small thing, but those few seconds in the morning changed her whole vibe. Even her friends noticed, asking, "You seem different lately, what's your secret?" Next, imagine your ideal day. Picture it in vivid detail. What are you wearing? What's on your to-do list? Who do you spend time with? Then, jot down 3 tiny actions that would move you closer to making that version of your day real. Maybe it's reaching out to a classmate, setting up your workspace with a fresh playlist, or prepping a meal that actually makes you excited for lunch. These aren't massive steps, but together, they build momentum. Let's look at an example. Picture, you want to become more outgoing. Your 3 actions might be: send a text to someone new, say hello to your neighbor, and pick out a bold shirt to wear. Later, when you check your journal, you'll have a record of small but real progress. Sometimes seeing your own plans written down and actually checking them off feels like you're watching your story move forward, scene by scene. Want to really see your own progress? Set one personal goal for the week that is just for you, not to impress someone else, but because you want it. This could be anything from finishing a book, to recording yourself dancing, to taking the first terrifying step toward applying for a dream job. Film yourself taking that first step. Don't worry about making it perfect. Just capture the feeling of moving forward. You can keep it private. What matters is that you're tracking your journey. You're reminding yourself that action is better than waiting for perfection. Throughout your normal routines, build in pauses for gratitude. Let's say you're brushing your teeth or waiting for your coffee to brew. Stop and note 2 things you're grateful for, right in the middle of these everyday moments. Maybe the sunlight warming your face, or your favorite song playing quietly in the background. By taking stock of what's good, you set the emotional tone of the scene, and like any main character, you remind yourself that even small wins are worth celebrating. Let's slow down here for a second. Listening to the birds outside your window, feeling the warmth of your mug, or catching your dog's happy tail wag, these details matter. They fill your scenes with color and help you notice life's simple gifts. One subscriber wrote, "At first, I thought the gratitude thing sounded cheesy, but now, if I skip it, my mornings feel kind of flat. It's wild how it sets your mood for everything that comes next." Now, about setbacks, they're inevitable. But with main character energy, you flip them into lessons or plot twists. If your bus is late and you're stuck in the rain, take a selfie video. Say, "Well, I guess this is my rainy day montage," and laugh about it. It's cheesy, but documenting these rough patches and then reframing them with humor or hope trains your brain to see problems as just part of a bigger, more interesting story. You might even look back and realize some of your best memories started as things going wrong. Let's weave in a little more dialogue and action. Picture yourself telling a friend, "Yeah, today didn't go as planned, but I'm learning to find the silver lining main character stuff, you know?" That simple mental shift keeps the mood lighter and your perspective hopeful. Or maybe after getting some bad news, you say to yourself, "Okay, what's the next step for my character?" You brainstorm options, talk it out in the mirror, or journal about what you want the next scene to be. The more you practice this, the easier it gets to bounce back from life's tough turns. Affirmations also work wonders when delivered through sticky notes. Put them where you'll see them, on your laptop, your closet door, your bathroom mirror. Write things like, "You're the main character today," or "Take the leap, you've got this." Read them every time you see them, especially on days when motivation is low. Connect these acts with personal rituals. Maybe every week, you and your friend have a check-in where you ask, "What was your main character moment?" You support each other, swap stories of courage or vulnerability, and celebrate the small stuff. The energy gets even stronger when you share it with people who get it. But what if your support network isn't close by? A lot of people use online groups or even text a trusted friend their main character moment of the week. It can be as simple as, "I finally spoke up at work," or "I treated myself to my favorite snack after a tough day." Sharing these moments might seem small, but studies show even tiny celebrations help rewire your brain for confidence and keep you on track when you feel alone. Don't forget the power of self-reflection. At night, write down 3 scenes from your day that pushed you forward, even if they were awkward. Did you ask for help in class? Eat alone in the cafeteria and own it? Turn off your phone to focus on studying or self-care? These everyday choices are chapters in your story. Reflecting on them helps you see your growth over time. When you need a motivation boost, create a vision board, old school style with magazines and glue sticks, or digital with Pinterest. Fill it with images, words, and quotes that reflect the kind of story you want to live. Main characters have big dreams, and seeing them visually each day keeps the fire alive. And if fear creeps in, try the main character question. If this were a movie, what would my character do next? Sometimes, visualizing your story helps you break through the fear that's holding you back. Would your lead reach out for help? Take the risk? Laugh off a mistake instead of shrinking from it? Use the answers to guide your next step. Remember, these practices aren't about becoming someone else. They're about showing up as your truest self every day, no matter what's going on around you. The confidence comes from doing little things consistently, from acknowledging both big wins and tiny steps, and from rewriting your internal narrative one moment at a time. Another thing to notice, as you keep this up, the world starts to feel different. You'll catch people meeting your eyes more. Maybe a teacher praises your effort, or a stranger compliments your smile. Even in group settings, you might feel your posture shift. You stand a little taller without even trying. It's like your new energy is contagious. And if you ever slip back into old habits, don't sweat it. Every main character faces setbacks. The real growth happens when you realize you can start again the very next day. There's always a fresh page for your story. But once you start applying these strategies, you begin noticing something else: the way the world responds. People start to see your confidence before you even open your mouth. They respond to your energy, ask for your advice, or just seem more drawn to you. And, more importantly, you start to become more and more comfortable being the lead in your own life, even when things get tough. So, what happens after you decide to go all in? How does your story grow? And why should you keep building on this energy, day after day? Let's talk about what comes next and how you can keep the journey going. Here's the thing: a story only comes alive when someone decides to tell it. You've been the background character for long enough. It might not always feel like a movie, but even the slow scenes, the quiet days, and the little challenges have a role in making your journey real. When you choose main character energy, you're not just adding confidence. You're claiming your own story, one choice at a time. Let's zoom out for a second. Remember everything we covered: how your self-concept, your daily actions, even the way you talk to yourself shape your story. All that growth isn't about some huge magical shift overnight. It's the small moments, the coffee and journal mornings, the brave conversations, the choice to turn off your phone and tune into yourself. Bit by bit, you're writing new scenes. The best thing? There's no finish line. Main characters don't retire. They keep learning, adapting, and trying new things. Every day, you get a fresh shot to rewrite the next chapter. So take just one strategy from today, maybe the mirror affirmation, the 3 daily intentions, the boundaries that give you back your evening, and actually try it for a week. See what shifts. Track it, journal it, or just reflect when you brush your teeth at night. Little efforts, over time, build lifelong change. And you don't have to go it alone. Drop your story in the comments. What was your main character moment this week? Did you set a boundary, try something new, or just treat yourself with a little more kindness? We're building a space where everyone's growth counts. Your whisper of courage could be another person's reason to try tomorrow. Let's celebrate those small wins together, cheer each other on, and watch as our stories grow stronger side by side. Keep using self-reflection. It's your mirror for all the ways you're growing. Each intentional choice, big or small, cements the fact that you matter. Your voice matters. Your story matters. Revisit your goals each Sunday. Rewrite your narrative after tough days. Wake up knowing you get to choose how today feels, no matter what yesterday looked like. If you're feeling stuck, that's not the end. It's just a pause in the movie a quiet scene before the next adventure. Sometimes, growth comes disguised as a setback. Sometimes, you only notice how far you've come when you look back on how you used to react and realize you're showing up differently now. Let me share a quick real-life example. One of our viewers, Jess, sent this in last month. I never thought of myself as a main character, but after I started doing the daily mirror affirmations from your last episode, I noticed I was standing up for myself more at work. Even little stuff, like saying no to overtime or speaking up in meetings, made me realize I actually have a voice. That's what this journey is about. It's not always loud, but it's honest. Maybe for you, it's finally signing up for a class just because you're curious, or texting someone first instead of waiting. Every win counts. Think about what it feels like, the pulse of excitement before you try something new, nerves fizzing but hope starting to bubble up. Hear the sound of your own laughter after you take a leap, maybe shaky at first, but proud. It's messy, uncertain, and so real. That's the stuff movies are made of, and that's what makes your own life matter. And hey, if you're worried about backsliding, that's normal. Progress is rarely a straight line. One quote I love is, "Growth is a spiral, not a straight staircase." Forgive yourself on the tough days. Celebrate yourself on the better ones. It's all part of the story. Here's a little hint for what's coming next. You've just unlocked the basics. Before long, we'll dive deeper into advanced techniques, story mapping, next-level visualization, and real-life tales from people who rewrote their story in wild, surprising ways. Like Maya, who went from feeling invisible in her class to leading a project. Or Jordan, who used visualization to land his dream internship. You might be shocked by how quickly things can change when you really show up, over and over, for yourself. So keep standing tall, keep tuning into your own script, and keep living as the main character you were always meant to be. Who knows what scene comes next? That's the real magic. Your story isn't finished, not even close. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your main character moments. I can't wait to see your next chapter unfold.